They fed you a lie. They told you that to be a good man, you had to be a helpful man. That if you poured your time, your energy, and your spirit into others, the universe would repay you, that your kindness would be a shield, and your selflessness would be a weapon. They told you it would make you essential. They told you wrong. Look closer, and you'll see a brutal truth you've always felt but never dared to name. The more you give, the more they demand. The more they demand, the more they resent the very power that allows you to give. And the more you sacrifice for them.
Hey guys, we're Wisdom, based in Abu Dhabi. We use AI tools to make these concepts come to life, but it's our amazing team who goes deep, breaking down powerful philosophical ideas and showing how they really apply in everyday life. We hope you enjoyed today's content.
The more they will erase the memory of what you've given. Machiavelli never said kindness was a vice. He said it was a liability if it was unguarded, because help, offered to the wrong person at the wrong time, turns a king into a slave. And a man who craves power cannot live as a slave. This is the first law of strategic selfishness. An uncollected debt morphs into resentment, not loyalty. When you give without asking for a return, without demanding that your value be acknowledged, they will do one thing. They will rewrite the story. They will diminish your effort, shrink your sacrifice, and convince themselves that what you gave was simply what you were supposed to give. It's an ego-driven alchemy where they turn your greatness into your duty, and the most dangerous part? They will never say it to your face. Instead, they will begin to subtly distance themselves. They will speak about you to others as if you're trying too hard. They will take your generosity and twist it into manipulation, because a person who can't repay you has only two choices. They can elevate you in their mind, acknowledging the debt, or they can tear you down in their mind to protect their ego. Most choose the second. It's easier to call you too nice than to admit they've been using you. Machiavelli saw this in politics. A prince who liberates a city is rarely loved. He is hated. Why? Because the people now owe him. And a human being will hate the feeling of being indebted, even if that debt is their freedom. This same rule applies in your life. You believe you are helping, but in reality, you are giving them a psychological motive to betray you later. They don't ask because you are their last hope. They don't ask because they value you. They ask because you have trained them to. Every time you drop what you're doing to solve their problem, you send a signal. My time is your resource. My peace is less valuable than your chaos. I will carry the burden. Just keep bringing it. And once you've broadcast that message often enough, they stop seeing you as a person. They start seeing you as a utility, a therapist, a lifeline, a crutch. This is not respect. This is dependency. And dependency without reciprocity is not a relationship. It is an extraction. You are giving, they are taking, and you are calling it connection. Machiavelli warned against this emotional delusion. He believed the man who spends his life rescuing others will eventually drown with them, because weak people don't rise when you save them. They sink deeper, knowing you'll dive in after them. You were programmed from childhood that helping is noble, that a good person always shows up. But that script wasn't written for your benefit. It was written by those who wanted access to your labor. You weren't taught to help strategically. You were taught to help instinctively. And now, every time you say no, you feel like a villain. You feel cold, selfish, distant. But here is the Machiavellian truth. If helping someone costs you your power, your peace, or your path, it is not help. It is self-betrayal. And a man who betrays himself will eventually feel betrayed by everyone else because he gave too much, because he thought they would repay him, because he confused gratitude with loyalty. But loyalty is not earned by giving more. It is earned by giving less, to the right people, at the right time, in a way that strengthens your own position. That's not selfish. That's strategy. You think you are being a good friend, a good partner, a good person, but each time you say yes when you should say no, you pay in ways you can't even see. First, you destroy your time discipline. You keep putting out other people's fires, and suddenly your own house is in flames. You delay your goals, you pause your work, you lose momentum. People aren't just stealing your time, they are stealing your trajectory. And worse, you start to build your identity around being the dependable one. Second, you cultivate a secret resentment. You tell yourself, I'm doing this out of love. But in the quiet spaces of your mind, you are building a hidden debt. You begin to expect something in return. Gratitude, a returned favor, just a shred of basic respect. And when you don't get it, you feel used, but you can't say a thing because you offered. So you swallow it and pretend everything is fine until one day you erupt, and they call you dramatic. Third, you become a magnet for the weak and a repellent for the strong. Strong people don't need saving. They respect boundaries. They value independence. They want an equal, not an enabler. But weak people? They can smell your habit of helping from a mile away. The more you help without purpose, the more you become a beacon for people with problems. People who will never grow. People who want to be saved more than they want to evolve. Machiavelli would have said, if you are known for being everyone's crutch, do not be surprised when you are never seen standing tall. The goal is not to become heartless, the goal is to become selective. Strategic selfishness means you only lend your energy to those who have earned your attention. You only give when it aligns with your own interests or values. You only invest in people who return strength, not excuses. Because here's the secret. The man who helps less, but helps smarter, is more respected than the man who helps everyone and ends up exhausted. So stop bleeding for people who wouldn't even offer you a bandage. Stop watering people who prefer to stay dry. Stop proving your worth through sacrifice. Your time is an empire, and empires are not built on favors. They are built on force, clarity, and ruthless priority. The era of being nice to everyone is over. The age of strategic selfishness has begun. And those who master it, they never have to ask for power. They become it. A man must choose his currency. If you trade in approval, you will be poor forever. If you trade in strategic power, you will never have to beg. Machiavelli understood that being useful is not the same as being respected, and being kind is not the same as being untouchable. The moment you make helping people your identity, you give them the power to define your worth and to withdraw it the second you stop serving their needs. This is why strategic selfishness is not cruelty. It is the preservation of power, the containment of your energy. The understanding that in a world of endless demands, saying no is not just self-respect. It's a weapon. When you begin to stop helping everyone, especially those who have grown dependent on you, they will begin to guilt you. They won't ask, "Why did you stop?" They will ask, "What happened to you?" As if your growth is a betrayal. As if becoming independent means you've changed for the worse. They'll say things like, "You used to be so kind. You've really changed. You think you're better than everyone." Of course, they'll frame it as concern, but it's fear. Because your detachment is a threat to their comfort. Your evolution means they have to either grow themselves or lose access to you, and they do not want to do either. Machiavelli knew that power isolates. That when you stop serving others' emotional needs, they will accuse you of arrogance. Not because you're wrong, but because they can no longer use you. Strategic selfishness threatens the entire structure of people who benefit from your self-sacrifice. They need you nice. They need you guilty. They need you available. That's how they survive. The biggest myth you've been sold is this: if I help enough, they will never want to lose me. False. If you help without leverage, without strategy, without demand, you become a tool. And tools don't earn loyalty. They earn utility until they're no longer needed. Then they're thrown out. You think you're building unbreakable relationships, but what you're actually building is conditional dependence. And those conditions are set by them, not you. You'll hear this one day. I didn't ask you to do all that. You always do that. It's just how you are. You're overreacting. I thought we were friends. These are the phrases people use to escape emotional debt, to avoid repaying what you gave freely, and once they see you as replaceable, someone who will show up no matter what, they stop valuing you. Remember this: the man who helps everyone ends up owned by everyone. The man who helps selectively gets chased by those who realize how rare his energy is. Every time you say no, you build a boundary. Every time you delay a reply, you reinforce a hierarchy. Every time you walk away instead of rescuing, you send a message: my energy is expensive. Earn it. Machiavelli would agree. Influence is not given. It is taught. You train people how to treat you not by what you tolerate, but by what you deny. The fool helps instinctively. The strategist helps calculatedly. This doesn't mean you become emotionless. It means you audit the request, measure the benefit, examine the pattern, and only then decide if this help strengthens you or only them. Because every act of service that weakens you while strengthening someone else is a loss. Every favor that buys you nothing is a tax on your value. Every time you say yes just to feel liked, you lose altitude. And the higher you rise, the more oxygen you'll need to preserve. Stop wasting your breath on those who would suffocate you with gratitude they never truly meant. Before you help anyone again, apply Machiavelli's mental filter system. First, the intent filter. Why are they asking? Are they asking for guidance? Or are they just outsourcing responsibility? Are they truly stuck? Or are they addicted to your attention? Are they coming to you because of your wisdom, or because they know you won't say no? People often ask not because they need, but because they don't want to face themselves. And as long as you keep stepping in, they never have to. Second, the reciprocity filter. Will this be remembered or resented? Has this person returned your energy in the past, or just consumed it? Do they support your growth, or do they disappear when it's not about them? A favor must be a transaction, not emotionally, but psychologically. If a man does not repay your help with respect, loyalty, or elevation, then what you gave was not a gift. It was a liability. Third, the trajectory filter. Does this move you forward? Is helping this person part of your mission? Does it expand your influence, strengthen your image, or deepen your network? Or does it drag you sideways into drama, emotional confusion, or delay? Helping someone should not cost your forward motion. If it does, you are sacrificing legacy for the illusion of virtue. You are not obligated to be a savior for people who choose suffering. You are not responsible for their evolution. You are not required to dilute your fire to make them feel warm. Machiavelli would advise, help the useful, the dangerous, the strategic, never the bottomless. Because there are people in this world who do not want healing. They want a witness to their chaos, and you've been volunteering to be that witness, hoping it makes them love you. But in their mind, you're not a hero, you're just available. And available men don't rise, they rot. The most powerful word in the language of power is no. Not maybe, not let me see, not I wish I could, just no. No explanation, no apology, no emotional aftercare. Because every time you explain your no, you give room for negotiation. Every time you soften your no, you leave doubt in their mind. And every time you regret your no, they will sense it and try again. The word no is not rejection. It is self-ownership. It tells the world, I am not free. I am not yours. My time is not for sale unless it serves my empire. The foolish man fears using this word. The powerful man lives by it. So from this day forward, stop rescuing people from problems they created. Stop showing up where your presence is only expected, not appreciated. Stop diluting your edge for people who fear sharpness. And above all, stop helping people who would never build an empire with you. Because if they cannot help you rise, then helping them fall slower is not mercy. It is suicide. You don't need to be everyone's support system. You need to be your own center of gravity, because the world doesn't reward the nicest man in the room. It rewards the most guarded, the most calculated, the most unavailable man in the room. And when he speaks, they listen because they know he doesn't waste his words or his help. The illusion of helping everyone is a romance, but it is a performance that only the weak expect and the strong refuse to maintain. Every time you show up for someone without question, without condition, without calculation, you carve another piece off your soul and give it away for applause that fades the moment you are no longer convenient. Machiavelli would never advocate for cruelty, but he would warn, the man who helps too much becomes nothing more than a resource, not a leader, not a sovereign, not a mystery, just a battery to be drained. It's time to destroy the lie that being helpful makes you needed, that being available makes you loved, that being generous makes you unforgettable. It doesn't. It makes you expendable. Here's what they'll never tell you. Most people don't trust a man who gives too much because they sense it. He needs something, not necessarily money or favors, but validation, belonging, admiration, approval, and the second someone senses that you are helping in order to feel liked, the power shifts. You become the asker, not the decider. You become the provider, not the selector. They no longer see you as powerful. They see you as eager, and eager is dangerous. Eager is predictable. Eager is exploitable. Eager is weak. Machiavelli knew that when a prince gives gifts too freely, his people become dependent, not loyal, and dependency is unstable. The second your gifts stop, the mood turns. Praise becomes suspicion. Gratitude becomes entitlement, and soon enough they ask, why isn't he helping anymore? What's wrong with him? Has he become arrogant? No, you've become dangerous because you've stopped playing their game, and now they're scrambling to redefine you. Because the man who stops giving becomes harder to control. When you start becoming strategically selfish, the labels begin. They say, you've changed. You're not who you used to be. You've become distant. You think you're better than us. What they're really saying is, you stopped being easy. You stopped saying yes. You stopped replying immediately. You stopped fixing things that were never your responsibility. And now they are exposed. Exposed to their own patterns, their own helplessness, their own laziness. Because your presence used to make their mediocrity feel safer. Now your absence makes it undeniable. They want to drag you back, not to honor the past, but to feel less alone in the present. Machiavelli wrote of how people resist those who rise, not openly, but subtly through emotional sabotage, through passive aggression, through framing your evolution as betrayal. But power demands disloyalty to who you used to be. The selfish version of you is not evil. He's efficient. He's alert. He's ascending. And everyone who benefited from your chaos will try to make you feel guilty for cleaning it up. You've seen it happen. The man who is always there, the one who listens to everyone's problems, the one who sacrifices his schedule, his energy, his sanity, so others can feel better. What happens to him? He's the last to be invited, the last to be praised, the last to be remembered when real decisions are made. Because while he was building relationships, others were building status. While he was managing emotions, others were managing influence. While he was helping, others were climbing. And when he finally stops and looks around, he realizes something Machiavelli knew all along. The man who is always giving is never in charge. Because power doesn't come from being useful. It comes from being needed, but unavailable. It comes from mystery, from distance, from perceived scarcity. The man who is always present is never powerful because people only fear losing what they can't predict or replace. You want to help? Then start by helping yourself become less reachable. That is where power begins. So, does this mean you stop helping entirely? No. It means you help like a weaponized king, not a wounded servant. Here's how. First, make help a transaction, not a donation. Even if it's emotional support, insight, or time, Make it cost them something, not money, but effort, loyalty, discretion, exclusivity. If they didn't earn your presence, they won't value it. If they didn't struggle to reach you, they won't fight to keep you. Help withholdingly, not recklessly. Let them feel the weight of receiving it. Second, never help the same way twice. If someone needed you once, that's fine. If they keep needing you for the same thing, cut them off. You are not their second brain. You are not their emotional trash bin. You are not their plan B. Machiavelli would call repeat favors weakening rituals. They make others dependent and you expendable. Instead, help once, then disappear. Let them figure it out the second time. Third, only help those who rise with you. If they aren't building something, growing something, protecting something, why are you investing in them? Help people with momentum, because when they rise, they pull you up with them. But help someone who's stagnant, and all you'll get is dragged back down. Never help out of nostalgia. Help out of alignment. Sometimes the greatest favor you can do for someone is to stop being available, to remove your protection, to vanish without warning, to force them to become the version of themselves they were always avoiding. Because when you're always there, they never become. And when they finally face their own failures without your shoulder to cry on, they rise or they don't. Either way, you kept your power. This is Machiavelli's deeper wisdom. Mercy must be cold. Kindness must be chosen. Help must be laced with cost. Because if you save someone too early, you don't just delay their growth. You become their ceiling. So stop helping to be liked. Stop helping to feel useful. Stop helping as a way to keep people close. Let them rise or collapse on their own. Because your empire cannot be built on emotional favors. It must be built on selective loyalty, on respect bought through distance, on strength that serves itself first so it can't be hijacked by the weak. The man who stops helping carelessly doesn't lose people. He loses leeches, and that is the beginning of unstoppable power. The greatest lie society sells to strong men is this: you owe the world your energy. You owe no one, not your time, not your help, not your emotional bandwidth, and definitely not your strength, especially to those who would never lend you theirs. Machiavelli never preached cruelty for its own sake. He preached calculation. And when it comes to helping others, that calculation must be cold, clear, and entirely self-serving. Because the man who helps everyone will, in the end, have no one helping him. People aren't always trying to connect. They are trying to plug into something stronger than themselves. To dump their anxiety, their mistakes, their emotional chaos onto you. They don't want clarity. They want relief. And if you give it to them without demanding effort in return, you become a public charger, used by everyone, valued by no one. They'll say, "You're the only one I can talk to. You always know what to do. Thank God I have you." But ask yourself, where are they when you're drained? Where are they when you need silence? Where are they when the weight shifts to your shoulders? Gone. Or worse, confused why you're not available. You helped them once, so now they feel entitled to you forever. This is what Machiavelli would call emotional taxation, a hidden cost that compounds over time. The more you give without discipline, the more people believe you are a resource, not a force. And no empire is built by being a resource. There's a brutal beauty to detachment. It reveals everyone's true character. The moment you stop helping aimlessly, people will show you who they really are. Some will disappear, some will get angry, some will try to guilt you back into position, but none of these reactions mean you're wrong. They mean you were convenient. They were never with you because of who you are. They were with you because of what you provided. And the moment that flow stops, they panic. Not because they miss you, but because they miss the benefits. This is the test, and most men fail it. They feel guilty. They cave. They go back to being helpful, hoping to keep the peace. But Machiavelli would say peace is not the absence of war. It is the presence of control. And helping people endlessly removes your control. You're not keeping peace. You're being kept in place. Here's what most men don't realize. When you help everyone, you attract dependence. But when you help selectively, you attract allies. Strong people don't want to be helped. They want to be sharpened. They want to grow beside someone who has boundaries. They want to know that if you choose to help them, it's because they earned it, not because you're insecure or emotionally needy. Your selfishness becomes a filter. It repels the needy. It confuses the entitled. But it magnetizes the elite, because only strong minds can handle being told, "No, not now. That's your responsibility." And those are the minds worth building with. So when people say you've changed, smile. They're right. You've evolved into someone they can no longer use. That's the whole point. This isn't just a mindset shift. It's a full rewiring of how you operate. You must reprogram your brain to see help not as an act of goodness, but as a currency. Something to be traded, stored, and weaponized. Here's how. First, make your help scarce by default. Stop offering help unprompted. Stop volunteering before you're asked. Let people wonder if they can count on you. Scarcity increases perceived value. It creates mystique. It earns you silence, not just appreciation.
Thanks for spending time with us. If this sparked a new way of thinking, hit like and subscribe to keep the ideas flowing. And don't forget, check the description for the links to the resources and the original books we used today. We'll see you in the next one.